My hair doesn't look too bad considering it's disgusting. It really, really needs to be washed. Um, when you Google things, when we Google things, we assume that they're correct, right? And there are things on Google that they're trying to mislead you. They're trying to mislead us. And you know, what I figured out. They want us to think that. Uh, See, obstructive apnea is when your airway is blocked, and like there's a mechanical issue, right? Your tongue is falling back, or you have a narrow airway, or whatever. They want you to think it's only a structural issue. I don't think that's true, and they want you to think that central apnea is solely an issue with the brain, and that is correct. But they want you to think that obstructive is only a structural issue, and that I don't believe is correct. And obstructive can your brain can adversely affect obstructive apnea too, or I think even cause obstructive apnea. And for example, with Chiari malformation, I've spoken to people who have had surgery and their obstructive sleep apnea went away. So that's a clear indication that it's brain related. And then somebody tagged me on one of the apps. This doctor is doing videos about sleep apnea, and sleep apnea can be something in the brain, obstructive sleep apnea, and B1 can help with that. I don't know. But apnea I think, can be more complex. You know what? You develop apnea, and these doctors, these sleep apnea doctors, like, it's sort of treated like, oh, sleep apnea is just this annoyance, and here's a CPAP machine, and off you go. And nobody ever tells you that they should be trying to determine what the root cause is. It's like everything else in medicine, right? Someone should be trying to help you figure out what the root cause is. It's like if you're depressed, if you're having, whatever medical issue, if you're having pain, if you're having severe pain, oh, here's a drug, and go on your merry way. Here's this drug to take for the rest of your life for chronic pain, and you just go on your merry way, rather than sit down and figure out what's causing the pain, right? I mean, that's what people don't talk about with sleep apnea. A doctor should be sitting with you to be trying to determine, why are you having sleep apnea? And but they don't treat you that way. They give you CPAP, and they send you on your way, and now you're living with this machine on your face, and washing this mask and this basin out, and you're expected to be on this machine forever. Well, how about try to figure out what the cause is, or the root cause, and try to eliminate things that could be contributing factors. Like, okay, obviously if you weigh 500 pounds and you're thick around the neck, weight could be the issue why you have it, but if you're on a ton of, opioids and sleeping pills, that's obviously an issue. If you have a brain Chiari malformation, maybe that's a big factor. If you're in a drug medication withdrawal, maybe that's why your apnea is just off the charts. Why would that? Why would weaning off a drug make somebody's apnea severe? Why would weaning off a drug, like a lot of people, well, I don't know, a lot, some people weaning off of benzos develop sleep apnea temporarily. Why would that be? Why would removing a drug out of your system cause your throat to be closing? Like, clearly that's brain related, right? That's nervous system related. Sleep apnea is obstructive sleep apnea is way more complex than they make it sound. But a good doctor should be trying to determine why you have sleep apnea. Look at my neck here, right? I mean, do I look like I have a fat neck? I don't have I saw this surgeon. He walks in. He didn't want to see me at all. And he sent his whatever, call it, I don't know. Anyways, he comes in, doesn't examine me, doesn't talk to me about my history, walks in and says, "You're overweight. That's why you have sleep apnea. Or that's why you have this issue of your throat closing while you're awake. If you lose weight, your issues." Where do you see this? Where do you see a fat neck? Does that look like a fat neck from far away? If you walked into a restaurant and saw 100 people sitting in chairs, and would you point to me and say, "Oh, that lady with the fat neck there," fat neck there probably has sleep apnea. I bet she has severe sleep apnea. Are you kidding me? Look, it's not a fat neck. Like, hello? That's the first time. I have about 40 or 50 pounds to lose, and it's around the belly, and it's inflammation, and it's, I've been slim my whole entire life, and only recently this extra weight is on me. My legs are not fat at all. My arms are not fat at all. I'm muscle wasting, but I've got weight on my belly, at least 40 pounds I could lose, and a bit on my butt. But my butt is muscle wasting as well. But, someone walks in and sees me and you think that's a fat neck? Hell, there are people, with necks that like tree trunks, right? I have this weird feeling. I have this weird idea that maybe my sleep apnea was caused by medications. If the medical community is trying to say obstructive sleep apnea is structural, how are all these people in medication withdrawal having temporary sleep apnea? Maybe they're having central as well. I went into, I was in respiratory failure. I had severe apnea when I was weaning off the benzo and the Zopiclone. And I don't know, my complex sleep issues, a lot of it was caused by sleep medications. Like literally, these are disease caused by medications or made worse by, for sure, everything made worse by the medications. Like, I was literally tortured. And that's not being dramatic, and that's not an overstatement. Tortured with misdiagnosis and medications. So my complex sleep issues, severe insomnia, like brought right to the brink of death, severe sleep apnea, respiratory depression, lack of drive to breathe, sleepwalking, and sleep eating. And medications, multiple sleep medications prescribed every night made all of those worse. The drugs caused the decades of sleepwalking and sleep eating. The respiratory depression and the lack of drive to breathe, that definitely, absolutely was made worse by the drugs. Was it caused by the drugs? I don't know. Look, I'm trying to determine what is Chiari related, what is natural organic disease, and what disease has been caused by pharmaceuticals. And they don't tell you that all sorts of drugs cause all sorts of diseases. They don't tell you that, and they don't want to talk about it. They will refuse to speak about it. And it's tragic, because you can take this young, healthy person and prescribe them into disability and prescribe them into disease, into various diseases. And it's a hell of a thing when you can't breathe at night, when you can't sleep because you can't breathe. And I really wonder, like, what is all medication related? I'm years off. I'm 5 years off the last sleep drug. The respiratory depression was severe when I was weaning off those drugs. Like I was fighting for my life for years. And the respiratory depression has slowly gotten a bit better. It's still an issue. As I sit here, my body doesn't really want to breathe. When I exhale, when that final last bit of breath leaves me, like as I'm sitting here breathing in and out, when that last bit of air exhales out of my lungs, I literally feel like I'm dying. It makes me angry, because these drugs were harming me for decades, and I had no clue. I had no idea. And they just prescribed and prescribed and prescribed, and it would not have ended unless I put a stop to it. Like, I do not believe that I would have been alive the last 10 to 15 years had I not decided to start deprescribing years ago, deprescribing off of everything. This would have ended. I would not have lived the last 10, 15 years with all the medications I was on, all the harm. I'm not talking about just the sleep drugs. Everything I was on were harming me in so many different ways. And you have no clue how something is adversely affecting you until you get off. Like, it's crazy.